Nicole Wallace is sitting next to us now. Nicole is a ABC News political consultant or political analyst. I don't know exactly. Did I get that right?
Either
hat fits. She has worked on many big campaigns as a Republican strategist in years past. You laughed when I asked that question of Jon Karl about whether political professionals care, whether they're being accurate if the attack works.
That's right.
What's the real answer?
I think it changed. I mean, it used to matter. We used to live and die by factcheck.org, and both sides used to point to them when they would vouch for the accuracy of an ad you put up, and it was a really big deal. This campaign seems to be the first one in a long time, and maybe it's because the media climate is so diffuse that it doesn't. No single authority really matters, and everyone's getting their information from enough of their own sources that they believe what they want. So I think this is the first election cycle that I've seen when it doesn't seem to matter quite as much for either side.
So tell us a little bit about getting your candidate prepared. You and I talked a little bit about this. You, of course, worked closely with Sarah Palin, getting her prepared for her debate. Getting somebody like Paul Ryan prepared, very different. But
but a little more similar to getting someone like John McCain prepared. And, you know, someone with a burden like the one you were talking to Matt Dowd about, someone who is behind, walks into these debates with the weight of the world on them. They have to do 11 things, 9.5 of them near impossible all at once, to have all of us say that they've done what Governor Chris Christie predicted Mitt Romney would do, which is to shake up the race by tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So, getting them prepared, it really falls into three categories. There's the substance, and it's amazing how, a little bit of stage fright sets in when in 90 minutes they have to accomplish so much for their campaigns and their political futures, but you really do have to spend time on the substance. There are massive briefing books prepared to brief these guys on their own records. It's somewhat staggeringly ridiculous if you think about it. There's the strategy, how to go after, in our case it was Senator Obama, and then there's the style, the grace points, the humor, how do you leave yourself open for those moments? And frankly, McCain was a lot more open to cracking a joke, usually at himself and at his own expense, than someone like Romney is. So I'm not sure what kind of advice they've given him in that category.
The maddening thing in terms of prepping people for something like this must be that as much prep as you do, the thing that gets remembered most often is the unpredictable moment.
Right, and what's funny to me is that doesn't suit either of these candidates very well. I mean, these are two very formal guys who are each I think comfortable in the bubbles in which they exist, politically speaking. And so I think this debate, the drama, will come from the moments that are out of both of their control. And I think that's what we'll all be watching for tonight. Will there be some moment where that something said that wasn't in any of their briefing books, it wasn't on any of those index cards that they practiced, and it wasn't anything that was rehearsed. And that's sort of the moment that audiences hunger for and that can have the greatest impact on who's perceived to have won or lost.
Well, we've been hearing a lot about this from candidates past, everybody from Nixon to Dukakis, saying they over-prepared, and so they weren't as agile as they wanted to be on stage. It seems to me that where candidates get in trouble, and I'm curious to get your take on this, is when they are listening to the question, but they're not hearing the question. And so they answer it just like the Kitty Dukakis question in a very, this was the policy question, as opposed to what I'm really asking you is, what kind of empathy? We're looking for the empathy issue, or we're looking, and so in Romney's case, do you prepare them, or well, in both cases, but do you prepare your candidates then to say, here's what you need to do, so when they're asking you this, remember you want to be portraying this?
I mean, the ability to show empathy is an area where they're on their own. I mean, and this is where
sad face.
This is where we, the voters, are taking the measure of them, not as politicians and not as people who govern or legislate, but as human beings. Do they have the capacity? And this is where sometimes the better politician is defeated by the better man. So this is a really interesting space to watch for.
Take us behind the scenes. After all the prepping, the people who are doing tonight what you have done for candidates in the past, are they watching and freaking out? Or
yeah, I just had a baby, and so I can make this analogy now. I mean, I think it's sort of like you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait, and then it comes, and it's and it's sort of you just have to wait and see what what the baby looks like. I mean, they're waiting to see what kind of performance their candidate gives. They've done everything they can do. They've prepared him as best they can. They've created rooms at hotel suites all over this country that look exactly like what the stage will look like. They took out a tape measure. They measured exactly how far apart. They've done everything in their power, and now is it's like the Olympics or like a sporting event.
Right.
Now they're on the field, and you sort of have to sit back and hope for the best.
I have new appreciation for what you do. New appreciation.
It is. It's like I love the part about. I hope when this baby comes out. What is this?
You take your prenatal vitamins. You exercise and rest. You hope everything's good.
And don't drink too much wine.
Right, not too much wine or Ambien.
Nicole Wallace, thank you very much.